In a world brimming with boutique music festivals, each promising magic under the stars, few manage to carve out something truly lasting, something real. This is the story of one that did. This film is a love letter to the soul of a festival born from grit, vision, and an unwavering belief in community. Nestled in a quiet pocket of the countryside, Dogpatch didn't begin with big sponsors, flashy headliners, or a foolproof plan. It began with passion, with people, with a stubborn dream. This film traces the roots of Dogpatch, from the sparks of inspiration that ignited it, to the hurdles and heart that shaped it, and the growing family of artists, volunteers, and festival goers who now call it home. At the center is its founder, a dreamer and doer whose journey mirrors the festival itself, imperfect, determined, and beautifully human. More than just music, Dogpatch is a feeling, and this is my invitation to you, to see why, in a world full of fleeting festivals, this one endures.
My family immigrated here in the early 70s from Iowa. My dad was wounded in Vietnam and he just wanted to get out of the States, and they had cousins in Unity actually. So before my dad met my mom and myself back in, I think, 70 or 71, he came and worked at his cousin's farm in Unity for a summer. And then he just drove north until he found a quarter section of land to buy, which is this quarter section I'm sitting on right now.
But had kind of a dream to come up here and live off the land and that. And we've kind of grown together as a family and had some great experiences in life here and farming and trapping and hunting. And we had a hunting camp and outfitting business. I think it works out to a township here, which is about, 26,000 acres of whitetail hunting land. And then we had a bear area that covered about 36,000 acres of hunting land. And then we had a moose camp in the far north that was like 90,000 acres, and it was moose and black bear. We've had a real pleasurable experience here. I would have never had this opportunity in the United States when I came up here after I got out of Vietnam. I went in 69, and you go into basic training, which is like 9 weeks, and then I went into infantry training. And I spent another 9 weeks in that, and then I was shipped to Nam. When I got there, it was scarier than hell. From Ranger training, I went to the 1st of the 9th, which was called the Rat Patrol. We ran around in jeeps and whatnot, but when I first got introduced to it, it was a helicopter ride out, and these guys, all these jeeps and shit were in this village, and we landed in this village, and that was my introduction to it. I ended up walking point for about 5 months. It was I'd been in a few firefights, a couple major ones. We were ambushed on September 14th in it would have been 69, and it was like a 1.5 mile long ambush, and they shot the hell out of us. Some people wounded, some people killed. All the sergeants and the lieutenants fucked off with the wounded and the dead, and left a few of us back there on this road. Then the 11th Armored Cavalry was called in from LZ Buttons, and there was like 11 tracks and tanks and stuff that came out for support for us, and they pulled our ass out of it. It was a hell of an experience. It was just unbelievable. What you see on TV times 10, when you're in it. And I had cousins in Unity, because I came up here, stayed with them for about 3 weeks. We did all kinds of different things, and my cousin Martin was just fabulous. He was a outdoors woodsy guy, just unbelievable guy, and so when I got out, I got wounded, and I ended up spending about 7 months in the hospital. But anyway, when I got out, I came up here. I stayed in Iowa for about 2 months tops. And then I came up here. I had some money saved, and I bought some land. My father helped me, very big time helped me, because I came up here with a dog, a 65 Chevelle, and a boat and a skidoo, and some guns. And I bought a half section of land for $500 for this quarter, $1,500 for that quarter that Mark's on. You know, I mean, land was so exorbitantly cheap here. It was just, but I mean, that's the only way I could have started anyway.
So for the first couple of years that he was here, he tried to, he started to build his farm, but he worked in at the bar and stuff, and he got to meet all of the old timers here. The people that were here then were the people that settled this place in the 1930s. So Dad got to learn everything firsthand from the people that literally were the pioneers out here. That came with a lot of history lessons. Dad literally lived in a granary with a dog and a cat, no electricity, no running water, none of that stuff. But a lot of the other folks out here didn't have electricity and stuff either, right? Or they certainly didn't have running water. So when Dad met my mom that would have been in 73, he moved us up here.
I think it was probably more nerve-wracking for my parents, because I was taking their only grandchild away from them. And they didn't really know Steve. In fact, my dad hauled me off into a hallway and said, "Canada? What the hell's he doing in Canada? Is he a damn draft dodger?" And I don't think I impressed his parents anymore. But we all got to know each other. My dad accepted the fact he's a veteran. He's okay. He's going to be a farmer. He's okay. But yeah, it was scary. But I was 23 years old, full of adventure, and probably not half as scared as I should have been. We came up. He had a little house built. We had no power. We had no water. I asked him where the outhouse was. He said, "I've got 160 acres. Go wherever you want." So that was my introduction in March of 1973. By the end of the year, we had a nice little household set up, and we did have an outhouse. We got power in 1974. We got a well that same year, but we had to pull it up by pail. We got plumbing put into the house in 1980. And then we just kept building from there. From our one little house, well, like Steve always said, that's how mansions are built. Just keep building on. So we did. Our cattle had running water 4 years before we did. We had a government loan that would pay for water for the cows, but it wouldn't pay for water for people. So the cows had running water, but the cows put the meat on the table, so I guess they deserved it.
So he had already had some roots here. And it was a lot of the old folks that were living around us, and they taught us, about the history of Whelan. And how that worked out was during the Depression, when a lot of the people were pretty much starving in the cities. The government had make work projects for folks to come out, and they could work for pretty much pennies a day, but they could live out in the bush. They would, they could eat wild game, they could grow gardens, whatever. So that's what happened out here. They were building a railroad grade going all the way from Saskatchewan, and I think it was supposed to go as far as good soil. And people came out here from the cities. Each person got a parcel of land. They'd go to work building this railroad grade, and they were out here, I think, probably 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the really tough Depression years were. But when things smartened up, a lot of folks went back to the city. But the people that really loved this way of life, they stayed here. And they were rough and they were hardy, and they didn't live like the fancier people did in the cities. They stayed living out here in shacks, and they lived life their own way. At that time, there was a comic strip out called Little Abner. And there was a fictional place within the comic, and it was called Dogpatch, and that's where all the hillbillies and whatever lived. That's what some of the other people started calling these guys out here, but it was supposed to be a derogatory term. But the people out here didn't take, they were proud to be living life their own way. This place just became known as Dogpatch probably in the 30s and 40s. And that's what the old timers called this place when I was a kid, right? We live in Dogpatch. Other people, didn't call it that, and that name kind of got lost as time went on through history. Because my dad especially was so close to a lot of these old guys, the old trappers and farmers and stuff around here that were right in this area, that when they did the pig roast in 80 or 81 when they started it, he brought that name back to Dogpatch Pig Roast because they were celebrating harvest, but he was also celebrating the life of a lot of those guys because they by the early 80s, a lot of them were gone. So that was the Dogpatch Pig Roast.
Oh.
Fast forward, so that was in like 1980, 81. Fast forward to 2013 when I decided to bring it back. I did it for the same reasons, just out of respect for the people who settled this place. It just made sense to me. And it was kind of in honor of my parents too, right? I wanted to honor them. I wanted to honor the people that settled this place. They were like almost like grandparents to me, right, back then. So it's just a way of honoring those that built our community.
I guess Steve and I were the originators of Dogpatch back in the early 80s. And Mark remembered it, loved it, started it up again, and is expanding on it toward what we could never do.
Just something that Nancy and I wanted to do. We threw, it was parties. We had good friends that loved music and the neighborhood. I mean, it was just kind of, people weren't doing much together at the time.
We had very good friends who were getting married, and we decided to throw them a huge party when they got back from their honeymoon. And that's how the first pig roast got started. And I suppose the first year we had about 100 people here. In the following couple years, we got up to about 300 people, and it was a total community affair. As is today's Dogpatch. It could not exist without community support and the setup and everything. Our neighbors and our friends, they come out in droves to help Mark get set up. It just proves in a small community you need everybody.
So we threw these parties and we just took donations. It didn't cover the expenses, but it was fun. And we did it for, 3 years. We had a good time doing it because our friends, our closest friends, we got together and we had a ball. I mean, I remember we were putting up this building on the second pig roast. And we were putting up, and we had literally, I had all the walls built and everything, and we stood her up and put the rafters up, and I was still putting them up when people were pulling in the yard, like nailing them together so in case a wind came up, they didn't blow them down. So, yeah, it was just it's always been a real cool thing. And then we just got busy, where we were farming, and I was putting up lots of hay and clearing land and doing just a different thing. But we always had it in our heart that, I've always loved music, and I still do today.
What I kind of noticed was less and less community events. More people were staying at home. There wasn't dances going on. Nothing was really happening. My parents used to do a pig roast. They did it for like 3 years in the early 80s. And they called it the Dogpatch Pig Roast. A couple of hundred people would show up. They'd have a blast. So fast forward again to 2013, I remembered that, and I thought, you know what, wouldn't it be cool if we could do the same thing? Let's fire it up again, right? I talked to my mom and dad about it, and they were like, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I talked to a couple of guys at work, and they told me about a band by the name of Mahoney that was playing around southern Alberta, and they're like, these guys are the ultimate cover band. They're like two guys. They have like 1,000 songs in their playlist. And they're really good. So I'm like, okay, I got a hold of those guys. They ended up being like phenomenal, actually. They're super good guys. I hired them. The Ernie Studer School, which is the school in town, I had their school rock band play. It just worked out really well. Everybody was happy. They had a good time. I want to say 250 people probably showed up for the pit. 200, 250, somewhere in there. And I thought, wow, if I can bring that many people together, like, maybe we can do a festival. I was going to Nest Creek, actually, prior to that, and it just really started a fire under my feet to say, like, you know what, this festival stuff's pretty cool. So why can't I do it?
I first met Mark in 2014, a few months before the first official Dogpatch. I'd responded to a Facebook post looking for sponsors, expecting a reply with pricing tiers or a media kit. Instead, less than 24 hours later, my phone rang. It was Mark. One of the first things he said was, "I think this could be bigger than some promo videos. I think this could be a documentary." That first call lasted over an hour. We talked about the festival, our shared love of music and storytelling, and by the end, we'd made a plan for me to visit, just days after I moved up to Saskatchewan. Two things about Mark were clear from that very first conversation. One, he doesn't do anything half-assed. And two, you always know where you stand with him. We became fast friends, and to be honest, I haven't been an objective observer since the beginning. Not even close. Over the years of filming and attending Dogpatch, Mark has become a trusted friend, someone I can call when I need a hand or just a little encouragement. And that's who he is for a lot of people, someone who shows up, speaks straight, and truly gives a damn about the people around him.
I just knew that I had a dream. I wanted to follow it through. And I really wanted to do something not only for the community, but I don't know if my ego was in play a little bit too. It was almost like I craved the attention almost. And I wanted to be known as the guy who did something awesome for the community. Back then, though, I lived a little different lifestyle than I do now. I stayed up a little later, probably partied a little more, and that was maybe a little more on the agenda because it gave me a place to do that in my own backyard. I was lucky enough that I actually went online and I looked at some different music production companies and stuff, and I found one in Saskatoon by the name of Graffiti Music, and I met Trent, and he kind of got me set up with all these bands. So that first year, we actually had a really great lineup. All I had was a field in front of my house. We had nothing. It was a hay field before that. I put one section for camping, and the other section was obviously going to be the downtown area. So first off, I needed a stage. And I'm like, how do I build a stage? I had no idea. So I went to our local hardware store, to Parkland Hardware. They actually donated a tarp garage, and they had floors built for it. So we put railroad ties down. We threw the floor down. We put the tarp together. We had a tarp garage for a stage. We had the big circus tent for the beer gardens, and we had a couple other small tents for other things. And back then we actually did some after hours dance music and stuff. So we had, I think we had like 4 or 5 DJs, and that went like all night. But I didn't know anything. I was clueless to how things worked. I definitely made numerous mistakes. But as anybody would, not knowing what they're doing when they walk into a brand new industry, right? I was just playing it by ear. The whole thing with that first year was the fact that we could actually pull it off. I wasn't as business minded then as I am now, so I was there for the party just like everybody else was. At that time I still had both my parents, so they had all their friends. I could watch everybody have fun together, and that meant a lot to me, the fact that we could bring these people together that didn't really hang out that much anymore. After the pig roast and after year one, my parents told me that I was onto something, and they supported everything that I wanted to do with it. And yeah, they were actually as amazed as I was that all these people came out to the middle of nowhere to listen to music.
I hope he is very successful at this. I'd love to see that field filled up down there.
Like Steve said, we'd like to see the whole field covered with campers and have 3 to 4 days of summer that people can just relax and enjoy what we live in. We're so lucky to live here. I wouldn't trade my little corner of Eden for anything. Lots of people have asked, would you ever want to move back to the States? Absolutely not. After 43 years, I'm 99.9% Canadian. My father wouldn't forgive me if I gave up that last little 0.1%.
So 2015, it was a great year. I bet you we had almost 500 people here in 2015. There was a band that everybody was talking about that they had actually played the after hours tent at Ness Creek when I was there that year. And we were a month after, and they were this unknown band called the Dead South. Everybody's like, you need to check these guys out and get them there. So I got a hold of the guys, and I think within a matter of a week, I had them booked here. Fast forward to now, they're one of the biggest bands on the planet. 2016, we brought the Dead South back, and there was another guy that was just starting to make waves, a young fellow by the name of Coulter Wall. So in 2016, we had the Dead South, Coulter Wall, another blues band called the Harpoonist and the Axe Murder, right there, along with like some of Saskatchewan's greatest, like Jen Lane, and I can't remember. There's like 25 bands or something, right? But the lineup that we had that year, those guys went on. I mean, Coulter and the Dead South went on to be huge all over the planet. And we had them both on the same lineup out here in the middle of the bush. It was like, that's something I'll forever be proud of.
And the entertainment that's coming up. I mean, Jesus said Dead South and Punch Drunk Cabaret, fabulous. And I mean, some people don't like the blues, but I love it. I mean, I just love the blues. But I loved it all. I mean, every bit of it. Simple Tom to everybody I heard, the girls from St. Walburg. But yeah, it's all been good. All these bands that have been there. They were super this year. I mean, I heard the blues down there, and I could just feel the vibrations of Willie Dixon in some of their music.
So 2016, my ex-wife and myself had separated. I was going through a lot of personal hardships at the time. My dad was diagnosed with cancer. It was an exciting time for the festival, but it was a really shitty time for me personally, but I knew that I had this much invested in this thing, and I had to keep going. I think honestly, the festival itself probably kept me above water, right? It kept me going. When I decided to change things up a little bit and make it a little more focused on family and community as opposed to party, there were absolute growing pains there. So we did notice a drop in attendance, probably 1 or 2 years because of the changes, right? It was just people were unfamiliar. And I was trying to bring in a different demographic. I wanted to be family friendly. So I knew I had to make that focus, and I knew I would suffer a little bit for a bit, but I knew that it would come back. That's exactly what happened. It did. Attendance dipped for a little bit, but I dug my heels in because I knew what I wanted, and I wanted this to be more of a business. I was now going from, okay, this is a party, to no, this is going to be how I'm going to make my living. This is going to be a business, and this is something that I want to be proud of. I wanted this place to be a safe place to come and enjoy a weekend, but you can bring your kids, you can, and you can literally say this is family friendly and stand behind it. Anybody can say those words. This is a family friendly festival, but is it truly? I wanted to literally walk the walk. I wanted to make sure that I was practicing what I was preaching. So that took a lot of work, and it took a lot of work with me personally inside too, because I was now changing the way I lived, the way I thought. I was moving into a different part of my life as we were growing and moving from year to year. I think it was in 2018, I think we built a second stage, so that way we could have somebody on the secondary stage as the main acts for swapping out. So that gave people more opportunity to see more bands because there wasn't that dead space in between, the main band. So it was just constant music. The whole time we were just doing small changes from year to year, right? Like we would add one stage here, or we would add some more signs or something, but it was never anything drastic. We would just slowly change things up and trying to improve it year by year as we could afford it, because we weren't getting a ton of grants or anything. This festival's bought and paid for pretty much with our own money. Like I have to stop and shake my head to think how much I have invested in this. One of the very first things that we built on these grounds actually was a kids park, and we put it right in the center. Reason for doing that is it's super easy to watch your kids. We started out with like I think one little, it's like a kid's play center with a couple swings and a slide and whatever. And we just keep adding to it, right? So now we've got, I don't know, we've got a good sized kids park now. So just like when I was a kid back in the 70s, it's awesome to watch the kids come in, because the first thing they do is they run to the park and they hang out there all day. They're on the swings, they're playing in the sand, whatever, but they're doing the same things that I remember doing when I was a kid back in the 1970s. And they just have a ball. So 2019, it started out great, and I remember the Friday was awesome. Everything went good. Saturday, it started out, the day was really nice, and then all of a sudden, with weather reports, we had heard that there was a storm coming, and we had no idea what we were in for, because plow winds came in. I mean, it shut the show down now. We were soaked, torrential downpours. So it soaked all the equipment in the sound booth, everything on the stage. But for some reason, the power stayed on. And in Saskatchewan, if the wind blows like at all, usually the power goes out, but the power stayed on. So we had the tent.
We had one hell of a windstorm. We fought all night to keep the tent up that we replaced with this building. It was a great time. Yeah, we made it work. Tried to continue the show with one speaker and a microphone.
The bands that were left here, they did everything acoustic inside the beer garden's tent. And there was mud all over the place. It was insane. But we did the best we could. I think at 4 o'clock in the morning, the tent actually collapsed and it went down.
But coming out of that, when Mark and I became friends and we talked about all this, I told him the tent's got to go. If we can get rid of the tents, we'll never have to worry about it. And, frankly, the cost of a tent and the fact that the stitches will only last 5 years in it, a building lasts how long? The cost savings in the long run made sense.
So then we started planning on building a structure. 2020 came and shut everything down.
It was it was COVID. So we did things around here trying to build it up for the next time we actually had a festival. I've helped Mark build up the infrastructure here, try to better the grounds the best we can.
2022 was our bounce back from COVID. We had a great lineup. Again, it was country, rock, it was whatever, but we had started building our saloon. We didn't have the walls or anything up, but we did have a roof. We had a tin roof up, and we had tarps all the way around. So we had a good solid structure. I think we probably pulled off like 500 people, and everybody had a blast in 2022 from what I remember. That year also followed a really unfortunate event in my life, and that was the passing of my mom. So my dad passed in 2016. My mom passed in 2021. When my mom passed away, I didn't know if I was going to continue doing it or even what. I was without words. It was the biggest loss of my life when I lost Mom. But I had to stop and think about what she would have wanted me to do and how much she loved the festival and stuff. So then again, it kicked me in the ass and made me get back at it. Mom absolutely loved Dogpatch. She was kind of the queen of the ball or queen of Dogpatch, whatever. She would come dressed in her hippie garb and stuff and come out here and just float around. And she was the festival's mom, right? So I kind of came back in 2022 for her just as much as for me, and to kind of keep her memory alive. It was great. But we had the start of more permanent infrastructure. Turned out great. 2023, huge. I sold the family farm and invested everything. This was it. This is make or break. I built the saloon. I built a brand new stage. We built covered seating. We brought in a huge name. We brought in Gord Bamford, who's really big Canadian country artist. The attendance was great. We probably had over 700 people here. We really put more into marketing. We advertised on the radio all over the place. We put everything we had into it, and it paid off. It was phenomenal. We've done a lot of work out here at Dogpatch with a very small group of people, usually less than a dozen of us, build everything. That's our pre-festival volunteers kind of thing. So normally The past few years when we've been building stuff, we've been hammering nails as people are coming in the gates on the Friday. We're finishing stuff up and we're all in a bit of a panic. We're hoping we can get it done, and we always pull it off somehow, barely, literally down to the second. It was no different last year. In 2023, we're trying to get stuff done, and our small group of guys led by my buddy Jason Kennedy, like, just building stuff. And I mean, these were not small builds.
So they had many festivals before I came. 2018 was when I first came to the festival. Came with father-in-law, my wife, and the family. I felt at home. That's the best description. Well, we became friends because we had to fix a small disaster behind his house. I helped him with that, and he told me why he does the festival, and we were already becoming friends. And you know, you want to help your friends accomplish their dreams, right? That's what started it, and it grew on me. I loved it.
I was nervous. We were all nervous. We were tired. Working a full-time job, plus coming here and working until 10 or 11 o'clock every night, getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, going back to work, doing it over and over and over and over again. All of us. The fact that it worked out, honestly, I was just so emotional last year. Good and bad, because I had seen how much that we had built and how much that we had actually done. And the fact that my parents weren't here really sucked, because they believed in me and they never got to see what we did, right? So it sucked, like, that part of it. Even though the grounds weren't 100% done, but they were 85%, and here we are with permanent infrastructure. These are all pieces of my life. Everywhere you look around here, you're going to see history. You're going to see pieces of my parents. You're going to see a lot of pieces of myself, because I want to share my life with everybody. And that's what this thing was from the get-go, because I wanted to share what I had. I want to share my love of art and music and togetherness. So it all came together. 9 years of believing in something but not really knowing how to do it came together, and then I realized I knew how to do it. I've never been more pumped in my life or the life of the festival as I am for 2024. Our structures are almost done. They'll be done easily by the time the festival hits. All my design ideas are here for everybody to see. Our lineup is stupendous. We went back to, half country, half rock. I know that the buzz is out there now because people are taking us seriously. We're not just this festival that nobody's ever heard of. People are hearing about us now because we're offering a quality product. The town's starting to buy in, right? It's no longer just a hippie fest out here. More and more people are coming, and they're like, okay. They just thought it was a place where everybody got high in the middle of a field, not true.
I'm only like 20% of the work that's gone into this place. We have so many volunteers that have put so much time and effort into this place. Locals that show up every weekend for a month before the festival.
I've never been more proud of my team. I've never been more proud of what we've accomplished. 10 years of hard work is going to come together this year.
No, it's been a real pleasurable experience. I mean, everything's, we have our differences, Mark and I do, on certain things, but I want him to be very successful in this. Love him dearly. I know sometimes he doesn't think I'm proud of him, but I am. No, I hope it becomes big enough and good enough that he can make some money on it. You need to make a living doing this. You can't just do it to break even. You just can't. I mean, that's kind of what shut us down too, because we were just going on donations back then. And I don't think they understood then either what we were trying to do. But I think they're getting it now.
We're just very proud of our son and the whole family.
But I've got 5 of my own kids, like 3 boys, 2 girls. And they've always been a part of the festival. I know they look forward to it every year. But knowing that they're here and having a good time and they look forward to it makes me proud and happy as a dad, because, I'm doing something that my kids can be proud of me for. I think as far as the family goes, it's great because it's a family event to begin with, so why wouldn't it be my own family's event as well? I know even this year I've got an uncle and cousins coming all the way up from Iowa to check it out. It's something to be proud of, and I'm glad that my kids are involved. Like I truly am. It's just important to have the entire family involved, and obviously my kids are a huge part of our lives, so I wouldn't want to do it without them.
We started dating in January of 2022. At first I didn't know if this guy was for real or not, just because he's so real. He is who he is. He says everything. I don't think there's anything that I don't know about him. But then, so it was January, and then he's like, yeah, I run a music festival. I'm like, really? And when I got out here, I was like, okay, he does. There's stuff everywhere in the backyard, you know?
We spent almost every weekend together for, a little bit less than a year, I think. And then Kim moved in, and everything has just gotten better and better all the time.
And so my first year was kind of an eye-opener, but I think after that was when I decided, because we had talked about moving in together and stuff, and I'm like, well, we'll see how the festival is. And yeah, I was hooked. It was crazy, chaotic, but it was awesome. Like, and just the feeling as soon as you get out here too. Like there's no cell service, it's quiet. Even during the festival, it's just such a peaceful feeling out here. Like, this is my happy place now. Like, living out here for, well, I guess it's 2.5 years now. It's amazing. Like, it's I don't know. It's super hard to describe until you actually come out here and experience it yourself. Like, I don't think you can really put it into words, right? And I also think that has a lot to do with Mark too. Like, the way he is with people. Like, he opens his door to anybody, you know, and he's just like, he's got the biggest heart in the world, you know, so I think that has a lot to do with how the feeling is here. It's just him too. Like, he's just so welcoming.
So not only was Kim better for my personal life, but she's got a bookkeeping background. So she got involved with the festival and helped me get everything organized to where it should be. And I mean, it's just a partnership that works. And I think that's a big reason why things are going the way they are, because we've got everything in order now. With any business, if you don't have that, you're not going to make it. Kim is not just a savior in my personal life, but yeah, she brought Dog Patch up to where it needed to be. It takes a lot of time out of anybody's life or whatever, you know, to work on something like this. So I have had a couple different teams, and I mean, I'm so honored, you know, and thankful for everybody that's come out and helped, because we've had a few different groups through the years, and they've all made their mark here, and I'm happy for that. But the unfortunate thing is, you know, when one group leaves, another one comes in, you have to get used to stuff, and it does. Sometimes you lose a little bit of magic that somebody else might have brought. But the festival has always kind of been my savior. So as I'm going through hardships, I can kind of turn to this and change my focus, right? Whether it's about my folks passing away, my marriage ending, whatever, I kind of always had Dog Patch to turn back on. So that has saved me more than once, to be honest.
The community is amazing, so kind, and everybody helps one another out. I found a great group of people that come, and it seems like even if it gets like when numbers have been growing, like people are just still, I don't know, like not overcrowding, not like getting mad at one another. I don't know. It's just, I think it's the place though. Like, it truly is magical out here. Like, it's just everybody comes here and it's just like a transformation almost.
Community had such a huge role to play because I really wanted to bring them back. So I had to earn their trust all over again, because I had to switch from, you know, the crazy couple of first years into, you know what, this festival needs to be more about the people that live around the area. That's what I'm celebrating now. I mean, is the history and the companionship that community members share with one another, and that's the direction I took. It's all about that camaraderie and companionship of being a community. Community members have always helped each other, especially farming communities. You help each other, calving cows or in the hay fields or whatever. If you need help, your neighbors will be there, and our neighbors have come to our aid even this year. It's a great feeling to have to know that you've got certain people in your community backing you. That's how I want to keep doing the festival.
I hope you're all successful with it. I mean, I'm running out of my time. I mean, I've got cancer, and I just hope you guys are all successful with this.
I feel like if they were still here, they'd be amazed at everything that we've accomplished, because that's what my dad did when he moved to this community, right? He started from nothing. He built a successful ranch. He built a successful outfitting company with nothing but just hard work and determination. He didn't have anybody else's money. He made it himself. Work ethic was always important to me, and I knew that this wasn't going to be easy, and it was going to be a lot of hard work, and it was going to cost a bunch of money. But my parents always kind of taught me that if it's something that you really want to do and you think is right, and it's something you dream about, then you're crazy if you don't do it. Because if you don't, right before your deathbed, you could be sitting there thinking, why didn't I do that? Well, guess what? We don't have to worry about that because we did it.
Dogpatch was never about chasing trends or building a brand. It was about connection, about carving out a little corner of the world where music matters, where people show up for each other, and where something real can grow year after year. It started as a wild idea, held together with grit, duct tape, and a whole lot of heart. And somehow, against the odds, it worked. Not because it was easy or perfect, but because the people behind it believed that it was worth doing. Maybe that's what makes Dogpatch special. It's not just a festival. It's a reflection of the people who built it and the community that keeps coming back. People who are engaged, enthused, and ready to dance through the dust, no matter what the weather brings. So if you've been here, you know. And if you haven't, I hope you find your way here someday. Because some places aren't just events on a calendar. They're stories still being written, and Dogpatch is one of them.
Summer's been a long time coming. No, I need it to be true. Mom and Dad from the beginning, we're here to see it through. I'm gonna dance through the dust with you. The story's far from over, but our love stays true. Opening up love letters, losing yourself in the stars. Don't matter much about the weather, it's sure to heal your heart. I'm gonna dance